The rules have changed for real estate, and as a buyer, before you can see property, you're going to have to sign a written agreement, but it could end up like this if you're not careful.
I do. I take out.
It could be expensive and messy if you end up hitched to the wrong agent. We're going to give you the questions you need to ask your agent before you sign that written agreement. Plus, stick around to the end and we'll let you know whether you really do need to sign in for an open house. Hey there, Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We've been helping buyers and sellers for almost 2 decades, well before this went into effect. Beginning August 17th, 2024, it'll be required across the nation before a buyer tours a piece of real estate that they must sign a written agreement with an agent. This written agreement must specify how much the agent is going to be paid in the event that the buyer wants to move forward. It has to be an objective amount, a percentage, a dollar amount, or an hourly fee. So what's the big deal if you have to sign a written agreement? The thing you need to be aware of as a buyer is you may be committing to a long-term relationship that you didn't necessarily understand going in. You may have thought, hey, this door is just going to be open, going to go check it out, don't have to use this agent. It could be a much deeper commitment than you expected, and you may owe that agent money even if you buy a completely different home somewhere else. So that's why it's important to understand the nature of the relationship going in. The lowest level of commitment is the touring agreement. The NAR settlement does not require an agency agreement. It could be as simple as a written agreement to agree to tour properties together. California Association of Realtors has put out a form, and Zillow has a form as well. Other states have forms. This simple form will still meet the requirements for the NAR, but it's meant to be more limited in use. California form is just meant for open houses or 3 properties or fewer, and it is a much lower level of commitment. If you were dating, it would be the equivalent of a lunch date or maybe a speed date. Not a whole lot of commitment. But don't forget, even at this low level of commitment, if you do decide to buy the property, you're going to need to use that agent and you'll be required to pay the amount that you've agreed to in that touring agreement. The next level of commitment above a touring agreement is an agency agreement, and specifically a non-exclusive agency agreement. So this would be the equivalent of dating and you decide you're going to make things more serious. This level of commitment, you sign an agency agreement, the agent owes a fiduciary responsibility, and this will be a more general agreement. It may not just be specific properties, but it could be an entire area or property type. So this is the next level, and you'll need to know if you've entered into this level of commitment. Again, you may owe a commission. You may owe that fee if you buy any home within that area. And the next level is the exclusive agency agreement. This is the most serious. You've put a ring on it, and you guys are potentially going to march down the aisle together at some point in time. This is a very serious level of commitment, and it means you can't work with any other agents. If you buy something else pretty much anywhere else with another agent, that you're going to owe money to that agent that you have the exclusive agency relationship with. This will be the toughest one to potentially get out of in the event that either side is not happy. You'll need to understand the specific process. State of California, for the exclusive agency agreement, will require a 30-day notice, and there still will be protections for homes that were shown for that agent. So you'll need to understand the level of commitment that you're making when you sign an agreement. If you go in expecting just to see one home with this agent and sign an exclusive agency agreement, you could then find yourself in trouble where another home you see with another agent, you still owe money back to that agent. Know what you're signing. So what important questions do you need to ask before you sign any of these written agreements? So we have 6 questions you are going to ask, and we do recommend that you go through them in this order. So number 1 would be, what properties does this agreement cover? Specifically addresses, or is it more general in nature? Is it for looking in a specific area for a specific property type maybe? You need to know what this written agreement is meant to cover. Number 2, how long is the representation? You will be committed by this written agreement for a certain amount of time. Some are as long as 3 days, some are 7 days, some could be 3 months or longer. You're going to want to understand what you're signing and what you're committing to. Number 3, is this an agency agreement? The NAR settlement does not require an agency agreement. As we discussed before, that's the next level of commitment between between a buyer and an agent, it requires a fiduciary responsibility from the agent, and it may bind that buyer in a more serious fashion to properties out there, especially if you're in an agency agreement and you have a general area specified. You may be bound to more properties. So you're going to want to get clarification from the agent whether it's an agency agreement. This question is important because the agent may not understand the difference between an agency agreement or not, and this is helpful for you to decide whether you even want to sign it. If they can't explain the difference between an agency agreement and a non-agency agreement, an exclusive agency agreement, you shouldn't be working with them. Number 4 is, what if it's not working out between us? How do you or I cancel this representation agreement? So that could be specified within the representation agreement, or there may be local regulations. The lowest level of commitment, it could be just simply in writing, canceling it, and that's it. The higher level of commitment in the state of California, the exclusive agency agreement, requires a written notice in 30 days after that. Plus, you may be bound to working with that agent, even if you're outside the representation, for specific properties that you've seen. Number 5, and that is, how much do I owe you if I buy a home? Just remember that in many cases you're going to ask the seller to pay this amount, but if the seller won't pay it, that means you as a buyer have to pay it. So you need to know specifically and objectively what you will owe the agent in the event that you buy one of the homes with that agent, that you tour with them. And number 6 would be, are there any other terms or anything else I need to know? Just ask the question and leave it open. It could be simple no, but there could be a bunch more that comes out by asking that question. So those 6 questions are going to help you understand better what you're about to sign, and make sure you read what you're about to sign. Make sure it is accurate and exactly what you've been told in the answers to these questions. And how about the open house? Are you required to sign one of these written agreements or some sort of written agreement? As of the shooting of this video, the National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors is not requiring that a buyer sign anything in order to tour a home during an open house. And that's why we expect open houses to be much more important to the process. There's some buyers that are going to want to see a home without being hitched to an agent, and that's where the open house will come in. So some agents may say it's required that a buyer sign in before they can see their house, and maybe some brokers will, but that is not part of the NAR settlement as of the shooting of this video. The forms and requirements are going to change. Make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter and this channel, and we'll make sure you're kept up to date on the latest for buyers and sellers when it comes to the NAR settlement. The next thing you need to know is in one of these videos right here. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we can't wait to hear from you.